Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart from InnerLight, and we are here live on Kardec Radio. This is great to be here after such a long break. Our program used to be weekly, but our center here in Miami is open, so it's keeping us very busy, but I do not want to stop this wonderful program. So we are doing it once a month. Every first Thursday of the month, we will be live, and we are initiating a wonderful book, Heaven and Hell. So I'm super excited to be starting this study tonight with all of you. This is really great news, and very good. We already have some friends here. Hi Julio, hello Mary, very nice seeing you here. Our other friends will be coming in a few minutes. So before anything, I just would like to make sure you have your water. I have so many bottles here. We need medication all the time. So make sure you have your water, and let's do our initial prayer, and then I will bring our friends here to join us and to start the study. So let's close our eyes, elevate our thoughts to God, to the enlightened spirits that are always protecting Kardec Radio and Mia InnerLight, especially tonight when we start a new book, and we are going to be helping so many souls to learn and to improve a little bit more with our knowledge of Spiritism, but also putting in practice our moral values. So, dear God, help us to fully connect tonight. Help us to receive the inspiration from the higher order spirits, clarifying our minds, connecting our thoughts, and helping my friends that tonight will be Nora, Teresa, and myself, so we can have a very positive conversation about this beautiful book, Heaven and Hell, and later on we can also talk about the book, What is Spiritism? Please stay with us now and always, so be it. Very good! Yes, starting a new book. Let me bring my friends. So the first one is Nora. Hello Nora, how are you? So happy to have you here with us.
Hi friend, wonderful. It's good to be here. It's different. It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, exactly. We used to do this on a weekly basis. Now it's like a monthly basis. Like, whoa, very different. So happy to have you here. And Nora, a lot of people don't know us anymore because we stopped being connected all the time. Just talk to us a little bit, really quickly. Where are you located and how you discover Mia InnerLight, for example. If we talk about how you discover Spiritism, we have to be here the whole night.
It's so funny. So I'm living in South Texas, a little town called Harlingen. I border with Mexico, so I'm way down here. And Kardec Radio, it came out on my Facebook feed. It came out on one of the program Thursdays. I think you were doing that book, Brothers. What was it called again?
Oh, yes, Brother of Other Lands.
So I got in there, and then we just connected. And when COVID came, right, I think the spiritual family, we all kind of came even more together in this sense. And voila, I'm here.
Yes, that's so good. I'm so happy. I'm happy that we kept our connection. This is important. And you know, as you are in Texas, we have so many friends from different states that were participating of our programs in Kardec Radio. And when COVID started, wasn't difficult for us because we were already online. That was like normal.
Yeah.
So COVID is really tough, but at least for technology, for example, this was actually a blessing. So we could keep starting and improving ourselves and also growing friendships.
Oh, many
That's
friendships.
really, really good. So let me bring our other friend. So this is Teresa. Hello, Teresa. Teresa, can you hear me? I can't hear you. What happened? I know Teresa is having some kind of connection problems. That first she was in the computer and then she went to the cell phone. Right now you're on mute. Let's see. Let me see if I can unmute you. No, Teresa is on your side. You have to unmute yourself. What happened? Uh-oh, Teresa, you are on mute. We can't hear you. You have to unmute the button. Uh-oh, suspense, and without the sound of Teresa here. Let's see if she can come back. Well, until Teresa comes back, I will share my screen with you because with you all. So I think it's very good for us to understand. So this is Mia InnerLight website. Yeah. Woohoo! Our baby Mia InnerLight has a website. So we have been working in our website, and this portion of the website is about the books, and you can have the free downloads of the Spiritist codification right there from our website. So, here I don't know why it's totally out of order, but I had just put the books in order a few minutes ago. But the codification is like this. It's the Spirit's book, then the Medium's book, then the Gospel, then we have Heaven and Hell. So Heaven and Hell is the fourth book of the codification. And then I went to the website of my friends in Baltimore, my friend Daniel, and he has a very nice summary of the book Heaven and Hell. So I'm going to just read for you guys. So this book is divided in two parts. The first contains a comparative examination of the various doctrines concerning the passage from the earthly life to spirit life, future rewards and punishments, angels and devils, and etc. The second part, which is the result of practical work, is a collection of examples concerning the situation of the soul during and after discarnation. These are testimonies given by repentant criminals, hardened spirits, happy average and suffering spirits, suicides, and the spirits undergoing earthly atonement. So this book is beautiful, and very few people read it. Everybody reads the Spirit's book. A lot of people also read the Gospel according to Spiritism because it's like one of the most famous books. And then, Heaven and Hell is really like very few people. People also read the mediums because they are interested in mediumship. But what about the other ones? What about Heaven and Hell? What about Genesis? And what about what is Spiritism? This one, the majority never even heard to talk about. So Teresa is back. Let's see, Teresa, if we can listen you right now.
Okay, so I hear you.
Oh, wonderful! Teresa is back. Very nice, Teresa. As I spoke to Nora You have been with us for a long, long time. In reality, I know Teresa from Inner Enlightenment in New York. Oh, I think Teresa froze now. Oh, it's not a good day. What is the internet happening? What's the internet doing to our friend? That's tough. But so I will introduce Teresa. Teresa lives in Vermont, and she used to come to New York every week, and she used to participate of our studies there. And I always admired her because Vermont to New York is far away. It's a lot of hours driving. And she was always there. When I announced that I was moving to Miami, she was like, what? And then she ended up joining our studies online, and it was really, really nice. I was super excited that she could join our studies. But Nora, as everything in life, and as everything in spiritist centers around the world, a lot of people come, a lot of people go, and just the resilient stays. Woo, the resilience. So it doesn't matter if you go to a different place, but Spiritism is really something that's challenging because it challenged us. Every time we learn, we start like, this is hard for me to apply. And a lot of people end up quitting, end up like, oh no, this is not for me, it's too difficult. But it's not. But we have to be strong to persevere, to continue, to face our difficulties, just saying, okay, it's hard, but it's not impossible. And then we continue. We continue. That's the important thing. Let me just see if someone arrived here. Oh, by the way, my friends, if you were listening to us right now, I cannot see your names. I only can see your names if you write a message, then I can see your name here. So I see Sylvia. Hello, Sylvia. How are you, Sylvia? Let me put you here. Sylvia Otero. Very nice having you here with us. And also our friend Mary. So nice. Juan. Hello, Juan. You said you know me. I don't remember you. So you have to come to the center. Juan is actually in Miami. So you have to come to the center. So I will meet you in person. And we have a Facebook friend. Hello, my Facebook friend. We're still having issues with our dear Teresa. So Yvonne is here.
Hi.
Yvonne is from Pennsylvania. It's like we have friends from all over the place. Okay, my friend. So let's start, Nora. Me and you, and let's hope dear Teresa can come back. So she was studying a lot for this. So it would be wonderful to listen to her insights. Okay, so my friends, we are going to try to do one chapter a month. So it's really a good pace for us to be able to finish the book. But this is not one of the thickest books, it's much thinner than the Gospel, much thinner than the Spirit's book, but it's a lot of details. So me and Nora, we are going to try to do a summary of what was said in this book. But it will be wonderful if you can download and you can start reading before we come here. So next month when we do chapter 2, you already know what we're going to talk about. Then you can write your comments, your questions, or whatever you agree or disagree with us, and we can all learn together. So, okay, so chapter 1. So chapter 1, the title is Future Life and Annihilation. Annihilation is like disappearance, basically. It's like when you die and there is nothing to look forward. So you're totally gone. It's a very materialistic way of thinking about life and spirit in general. So, in this chapter, Kardec does a lot of comparisons about what is the spiritist point of view and what are the materialistic point of view. So he tries to bring a comparison. So in spiritism we think like this. The materialist point of view thinks like this. And then you decide what you think is best. So as Kardec always does, he is a scientist, a scientific mind. So he doesn't like to put his personal opinion. He likes to put facts. And he likes us to read and we're like, yeah, I agree. Well, most of us that continue here, we do agree. So I will read just a little bit, and then I will open for Nora to comment, and to any one of you that are here, if you would like to make comments, please, more than welcome. I will be reading them. So on the first page of chapter 1, we have this message. Can anything be more agonizing than the idea that we are doomed to utter the absolute destruction that our dearest affections, our intelligence, our knowledge, so laboriously acquired, are all to be dissolved, thrown away, and lost forever? Why should we strive to become wiser or better? And then Kardec goes on and on and on. And then on the next page we have a secret, invisible intuition tell us that such cannot be our destiny. So basically Kardec is saying, if the doctrine, the understanding of annihilation is really correct, imagine how horrible it would be for us to study, to try to be a better person, to help others, and so many struggles in our personal life, but also intellectually, trying to be more elevated morally, intellectually. If in the end of 67, 100 years old, everything disappears. So this is like an idea that's it's like it's strange to most of us. But Nora, what did you think when you read this chapter? I don't even need to say this item, this chapter.
So I guess it was more like breaking it down into parts. Like you were saying how he introduces what he's gonna talk about. He brings in the different theories or beliefs, and then he ends the chapter with spiritism. So that's kind of like a little timeline that we have. But I felt like even him starting off with, will we live forever or will everything end once and for all? Is it even worthwhile to think about all this? And then he continues going on about, and so for me it was like, I think we're already making a step forward when we are even thinking about it, because there might be a lot of people that are like, maybe they're afraid or different reasons, whatever, that they don't even want to think about, well, what does it mean, the future life, right? This nothingness. And so
Yes.
I think with him starting like that, because he was an educator, he's kind of getting to that reader for us to kind of already start bubbling in those questions. And so I took a pause when I read this and I just kind of said, that is very true. I mean, is it worthwhile to think? What does it mean to me, right? And like you said earlier, Angie, we look at the different things as we go into the chapter, and then at the end, we will decide, at least in this study, right? But we will decide what is in our alignment. And I think that he started off like that. So
Yes.
of course, putting in my perception here, I do think it's worthwhile for us to think about what is to come. And this mainly comes, and it's, and he's going to go, where we go, he's going to describe spiritism as a science. And every time I think of future life, I always think of evolution, right? We go back to the Darwin's theory of evolution, and so many people look at that from a very basic way. But when we think about it, and I was having this conversation with a friend last night, evolution is like perfect. Everything that has happened has been perfectly balanced, right? Even though there might be different things that have happened along in billions of years that, things have been evolving, nevertheless, science is order nature. So when we think about us asking ourselves, is it worthwhile? We are being like scientists because just because, those, I was having a conversation with one of my anthropology teachers, professors, those trees that have like the different lineage and all of those, right? It doesn't end. We could always say at one point, they continue. You know, Imagine ourselves back in the day. Nobody had an imagination, and yet we've been evolving. We went from so many different ways, and even today, that one species, the Homo species, we've survived by God's grace through this time. What is it? What is it in this species that we've been to this? And I think it's because we have become at this part where we're asking ourselves these questions. And that's where he's going to go in there and kind of probe at us how these thoughts come in and how that partakes a lot into the survival and evolution and the continuation of that. That's kind of where I started off. And then I went back to reading.
Yeah. No, for me also it's wonderful because I read the Genesis a long, long time ago, and when you become a spiritist, you are like fast and furious, reading like a maniac, reading, reading. There are so many books, and then when you think just Chico Xavier, psychographic, more than 400, 440 now. They publish more books, so it's crazy. So you want to read more and more and more, and but I always tell people the books of decodification are not books for reading, are books for studying, are books that we have to digest because they are really the base of spiritism. I know there are a lot of people that love to read just the romances, there are so many romances, but if you have all these books, all these romances, and or beautiful texts, there are lots of books of Emmanuel, for example, that are very short texts of positive messages. Yes, it's wonderful, but if you don't have the base very, very solid that you only can acquire studying, then it's difficult because when we go to the second book, for example, what is Spiritism? We are in the area that Kardec is having conversations with a Catholic priest. And they are kind of debating. They are not fighting. They are having a conversation. And by the point of view of the priest, he is right. So he's telling Kardec why Catholicism is better. And Kardec is telling him it is good, but there are other philosophies. Kardec is not saying Spiritism is better, but is giving facts and saying anyone can choose the religion they feel more comfortable. But a lot of people have misconceptions, and different religious groups, they have a lot of misconception about Spiritism. So they think it's something from the devil. There is all kinds of theories. But if we all could have a little bit more open mind just to talk about, then it would be so, so much better. And I always mention that my grandmother, who was like the biggest Catholic ever, she was the number one assistant to the priest. And she lived in a very, very tiny city in the middle of Brazil. For my whole family, she was the only one who actually had the guts to come and ask me questions about Spiritism. Everybody else was like, I don't know, I like Angela, but she's very weird. Let's not talk about it. Noise, I don't know, I don't like it. And my grandmother, who is like the best friend of the priest, she came to me and she said, "Oh, my darling, I love you so much, and I know you are a spiritist. Can you just tell me what is this thing?" And I was like so happy. She was not trying to be converted or to convert me, but she sincerely wanted to understand what was that. And that's how most of the people should do. And it would be so good to have a conversation. Nobody's trying to, change anyone. We're just trying to open up our minds and open up minds of people about the spiritism. That would be really, really good. But
what that's exactly what Kardec is doing to us, making us be like your grandmother. What a sweet story. Asking those questions, because that's what elevates the moral aspect, and that is how we are here today, and we will continue. So absolutely, yeah. And I think that's how he gets into the different theories. It's not a lot of them. They make sense, right? But
yeah,
as we have progressed, we've acquired, more knowledge, more understanding, more enlightenment, and so things start to clarify a little bit more. And so we have
yes,
a responsibility to be in this thing. But it all started with just the questioning, and I loved how he even started this book in this first chapter. Yeah,
yes,
just the questioning, and then everything else would just fall into place. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It is true. It is true. I love it. Let me just read. I marked some parts that are really nice, and of course there are. Let me see how many pages.
Yes, I have notes too.
Yes, my book is all written. I love paper books because every time I read them, I can see my notes from 2000, from 2020, and my notes change. So another point here, for example, Kardec did in number 2. He wrote, "The belief in annihilation necessarily leads a man to concentrate all his thoughts on his present life. So, if there is nothing afterwards, let's live now." In whatever way it means, like if you're a good person, okay, you're gonna live doing good things. But if you are a person that's not that good, that is still full of characteristics that need improvement, you are never going to think twice. If there is nothing afterwards, I can do whatever because there will be no consequences. So then he mentions in the bottom, qualifications of pernicious and antisocial it is surely that of annihilation. So it's saying basically all kinds of negativity will happen if you believe there is nothing afterwards. And then he's saying because it destroys the sentiment of solidarity and fraternity, which are the sole basis of social relationships. So it's like if we believe there is something else afterwards, if we are not going to disappear, we want to cultivate our loved ones, our friends. We want to be good for other people because we know this is a way of improvement. And that's what Kardec is trying to demonstrate. Even believing there is life after death, we already have a tendency to improve a little bit because we think about what is coming. You don't even need to be spiritist. Even if you're a Catholic, heaven or hell, if you believe in only this, heaven or hell, you will try to be better so you can go to heaven. And then it mentions also, like in number 3, let us suppose that the entire nation has acquired in some way or other the certainty that the end of the week, of the month, or the year, it will utterly be destroyed. Not a single individual of its people will be left alive. They will all be utterly annihilated, and that not a trace of their existence will remain. What in such a case would be the line of conduct adopted by people thus doomed to a certain for enforcing destruction during the short time which they would still exist? Would be craziness. Can you imagine? It's like, okay, the earth is gonna explode in 1 week, and that's it. Every single person would be trying to do the most whatever they can, even in crazy senses, because if they believe there will be a total destruction, then what is worth to live? Nobody's gonna work. It would be a chaos. That would be tough.
It would be. There's a funny movie on this because it is true. I was thinking about this. If we knew this is it, would we make that choice of continuing working, like you said, helping others, or we would go crazy? There's a movie called The Last Holiday by Queen Latifah. So this is not real, but she's
The
funny.
last holiday.
It's called Last Holiday by Queen Latifah. So it's a little light, but she gets diagnosed with this terminal illness. So she only had a certain time to live. So she quit her job. She goes to Europe, lives like a millionaire with all her savings. She goes through all of that, when she comes back, it turns out, sorry, spoiler alert, that it was not hers. They had made a misdiagnosis, right? And
Oh my gosh! Now she has the bills. No job.
exactly, but it goes to show, even though it's a live movie, but that's an example of how, we because we're still, evolving, and we're still trying to understand there's a life after death. We tend to make those decisions, and I think that's what Kardec was trying to say.
This is actually a great example. I'm gonna take notes because I would love to watch it.
It's Latifah. She's funny. I love her. Yeah.
Yes, yes. That's so nice. My friend, if you want to ask anything, make any comments, please just write it down and we will read. What were you saying, Nora?
Oh no, I do have another example when you talks about life after death, which I think we're really getting into that arena already. There's this book. It's not a spiritist book, but it's called 10 Life Changing Lessons from Heaven. So it's super interesting. And then I wanted to share a story. It's the little title had, Is There Life After Delivery? I was like, what is this? So it's an analogy of like a twins inside the mom's womb, right? So it's the son and the daughter, the boy or the girl. And the boy is saying, "Oh, there's nothing, no meaningless. It's dark. There's nothing there." And then the girl is saying, "Wait a minute. Can you imagine once we're born, we're going to be able to walk. We're going to be able to meet our mother. We're going to be able to eat by ourselves." And then the twin brother keeps saying, "How do you know that? First of all, how do you know we even have a mother? Where is she?" And the little girl was like, "Just wait, you'll see, right? How do we know we're even gonna walk? There's no way we're gonna eat. We're based, and so that's alluding to the fact, of course, once we're born, we see there's a whole life, and it's using that analogy for us to consider ourselves now in this situation. Imagine ourselves in this womb, right? And we might not see it, but there's different points where we're like we can reborn, like this example. And once we see that like that, we start to have a little bit more faith, we start to connect a little bit more. And then as we go through this lifetime, or as we study or whatever, we feel in our alignment, things start to make a little bit more sense. But we need to kind of have that thinking again. We have to be those kind of scientists that say, it's coming. It might not be 100% here now, but it's coming. A lot of the discoveries have come by someone believing, by having that kind of like in that being in the mother's womb. It needed to be one twin to believe, and so for us to remember the importance of those moral principles, right? That they're there. It was really beautiful. I really like that. from
Yeah.
that.
No, I love this. I love this story. It's so cute. It's so cute. And then I remember there is a portion also that they are both talking like she attunes with the mother singing, and she says, "Look, do you hear? She's singing to us. This is our mother. This beautiful music." And the other twin is like, "Are you crazy? This is some kind of noise interference. That's your imagination." And then it's funny, like we can really use this comparison to the life after death. Some of us are so sure it happens, and others is like, no, no, that there is nothing. But it's a great for people to read, and they start like thinking, they understand the comparison, and then they start really thinking, because it's up to each one of us. We can't we can't change people's way of thinking, but it's good that we can give like a glimpse, like something to reflect. This is the important thing. We are not here to change anybody's, but just to open up their minds, and it might be something. So love your story, Nora. Really, really good. Really, really good. I'm searching for another one here that we could comment, because we can comment in every single one. I see here number 8, for example.
Okay. Well, after
So,
that, I'm gonna go back. But
did you have one before?
I did.
So let me know. I'm like skipping a bunch because I see our time flies
Oh,
quickly.
no. Okay. Let me see. Before when you go to 8, I think one of the things is that when he starts talking about because you know how we're summarizing, he's now going to bring in the different doctrines of life after, like the beliefs of life after death. So he starts with the first one that says that we kind of all go back into drops. So that's the very first thing. So some people have this idea that after we disincarnate or die, we just kind of go back into that nothingness, right? And become like drops. But he's saying there, but wait a minute, but each of us, we're not like drops, because everybody's so different. So does it make sense for us to go back into this everybody individual drops when they're also different? And I was thinking about this from a biochemistry perspective, since he asked us to be like scientists looking at, and it's so true. If we look at the qualities of water, while they're beautiful and precious, it's H2O. And the only things sometimes might change is like when the properties change, but even that way, it's either they're liquid, gas, or they're ice, right? And so even then, there's patterns of recognition. But if we were to think about this, if we were those drops, how would we? It's too many. We're all so different, and I just thought that was really interesting, because I've read some people say, okay, when we disincarnate, we just all go back to that nothingness, and it's true that. And so he's saying this because Spiritism will come and explain a little bit. That's they talk about the second thing. Was it pantheism or something? Where was that word? Pantheism, right? Which talks about how we can all be part of this divinity. In other words, that we are like gods and everything. And then it asks, but have you ever stopped to think? In that case, then God means he was never perfect to begin with. That means that he's had to progress through imperfect parts, like us, to do that. So he was trying to bring in those things for us, food for thought. So that was just for us to kind of have a discussion on that.
Yes, that's really good. That's, and it's funny because some people, they are born already naturally with the understanding of there is God, there is something bigger than us. It's very like natural to some people. Like my family, for example, they are from Catholic background, but they were never really like my grandmother. They never really went to church. They were never really connected to anything. And I had this feeling, this understanding that there is a lot going on, even if I don't see. And then yes, I start seeing things and then forget about. That is another story. That I was pretty much knowing that we die and then we wake up in the other side. But there are those other people, in contrary, that they are born in a way that they are naturally don't like the idea of anything that's extra, anything that they can touch, like a very scientific mind. If I cannot prove it exists, it does not exist. So it can be a challenging for these people. It can be also a challenging for people that believe too much, because they can become like how can we say, friends, help me out. I'm missing the English words here. Fanatics.
Yes, yeah.
Fanatics. They believe too much in one thing, and anybody else that does not follow that type of understanding or faith, they are the ones who are gonna burn in hell, for example. So we have so many levels on planet Earth right now, but also in the time of Kardec was even worse. We have to remember that in 1888, Kardec's books were burned in the Barcelona, so by the church. So imagine that they were forbidden books. Nowadays, there is nothing forbidden anymore, because the internet has everything there. So you have access to everything. But many times our minds are the ones who put this forbidden in our minds. So this is just an addendum that for us all to talk, to understand. Oh, we have Yvonne here. She made a comment. So Yvonne said that Kardec asked some really provoking questions as he proves his point, and love it. Yes, Yvonne, yes. I admire Kardec so much. His way of analyzing and summarizing, coordinating throughout all the books that he ever wrote. We see all the other books, they are so focused. And Spirit's book, for example, is a blessing, because you have questions there that you always wanted to ask and you never thought, and you're like, oh, look at it. Woo, I have the answer now. So yes, it's amazing. So let's try to do some of. I had an idea that we wouldn't be able to be, doing every single one, but let me try.
Maybe we can listen to the part where the heaven and hell comes in after bringing that.
Yeah, which one are you talking about? Which number?
Because it says here, okay, on item 10, the stuff that's italicized, that's kind of how he sums up the different theories, where humankind has three alternatives: the nothingness, which is like the one where we go back to water, the absorption of the individuality of the soul before after death, and then under he continues saying, where we're free to choose between good and evil. And that's where kind of like the idea of heaven and hell came in. So then he describes how that was now a further step closer to Spiritism, although Spiritism clears that up. But anyway.
Yes. So let me just read the little piece of number 10. He writes like this: we have to choose between theories, alternatives, annihilation, absorption, and individuality of the soul before and after death. It is this last belief that we led by reason. So he's making a comparison of these three theories: annihilation is the total disappearance, and absorption is another theory that he explained in few numbers before, where we are all together here. For example, I'm Angela, you're Nora, there is Yvonne, Mary, but when we die, we all go to one. It's almost like we go to one whole, one thing only, one ball of energy. So it is an improvement in the sense that there is something after death of the physical body, but you lose your individuality. So Nora becomes a mix of Angela, Yvonne, Mary, and Sylvia, and it's like, what? So this is something that is hard for us to understand, or for us to desire. Even if I have so many problems, I still want to be Angela. And I'm sure Nora don't want to become an Angela. Angela talks too much. But then Kardec mentions about the individuality of the soul before and after death. That's what he understands, and that's what it's easier for us to continue in our ways with our own personalities. Then he adds like a little bit below, the faith of each soul must depend on its own personal qualities, meaning the future, the afterlife will depend on each one of us. So Angela did A, B, and C. Nora did A, B, D, and F. So what will happen to us depends on what we are doing right now. So this is what also happens, that me, you, if we are all together in a place and we all die together, it does not mean we are going to wake up together in the same place, in the same time, and our destinies will be similar. No, because we all have free will, and we will wake up based on what we did. So this is great. And then he continues, souls to be thus responsible, they must be free to choose between good and evil. That's the free will. That's our choices. So yes, thank you so much for mentioning this one, because it's great also to show us in that time had different theories going on, even if the absorption, the theory of absorption is already a little bit more evolved in the sense of believing in there is afterlife, but it's still very different than what we actually believe in Spiritism. So we have to jump into the next book because we have very few minutes. There is any other point you want to mention, or?
Yes, the end. Just really quickly, where now we come into the one with Spiritism, which is just kind of introducing. And so just for us, it's kind of like the whole thesis of the whole, which is unity. It says here, unity, right? Unity of thought concerning the future fate of souls will be the first point of contact, right? Amongst all of this. So that unity is, and that love that we're going to be reading about in the different examples as this book progresses is
Yes.
that clarification of Spiritism finally. So
Yes.
just for like tears to get to this. So that was absolutely beautiful. And I, like you said, he never dismisses or he doesn't judge the different school of thoughts or beliefs, nothing. He just simply states, hey, look, just give Spiritism a chance. This is what's in there. Just read. So I was like, oh, you're right. So
Yes. No, it's really nice. So, my friends, if you have time, go through chapter 1 again. Read each item so you understand. And what Nora is mentioning is beautiful, the number 14, because that's like the summary of the understanding of Spiritism, the understanding what we have, that we evolve together as a group, but it's still with our singularities, with our own goods and bads. And that's why we are here, to help each other, and always beautiful. So heaven and hell, next month we will be studying chapter 2, and chapter 2 is Fear of Death. A great
Mm,
title. Great title. Great, great, great title.
good.
Okay, we have 10 minutes to go through the next book. What is Spiritism? So, look, it's not a thick book, it's a very thin book compared to the codification. And we are in in the third dialogue. So in this book there is a series of dialogues that Kardec has amongst people, and we are in the third dialogue that he's actually talking to the priest. Let me see if I can share my screen with you, and then you can actually read the book with us. So let's see. Okay, it's too big. Let me make it a little bit smaller, more concentrated, so we can all read. Okay, I think it's good. So so Nora, to summarize, can you just read the yellow part, and then we can make a few comments.
Right. So the priest asked, but you cannot deny the fact that Spiritism is not in agreement with religions on all points, right? Oops. And then the spirit responds, the spirits proclaim a sole God who is supremely just and good. They say that human beings are free and are responsible for their actions, and that they are rewarded and punished according to the good or evil they have done. They place above all virtues evangelical charity and this sublime rule taught by Christ: do unto others as you haven't done unto you. Aren't these the foundations of every religion? And the spirits have done more. They have initiated us into the mysteries of the future life, which for us is no longer an abstraction but a reality. Those whom we ourselves once knew have come back to describe their situations to us and tell us how and why they suffer or are happy.
Yes, very good. So the question is the priestess act is asking, you cannot deny the fact that the Spiritism is not in agreement with all religious points. And the Kardec describes, he explains the difference of some religions, but he actually focused on what there is in common. So, in Spiritism, we believe in God, in one God, and we believe that Christ brought beautiful messages to us, beautiful teachings that helped us to improve. So he goes a little bit showing that we are not so far from other religious beliefs. And even if we were, what we practice, what we follow is very positive. It's very good. I remember my grandmother also asking me if I believed in Jesus, and I said, "Of course, Grandma, I believe in Jesus." And she's like, "Woof, that's good." I said, "Yeah, Grandma, it's good."
Yeah.
So let's read another one, or
Okay, the second question, it's regarding, we're continuing questions on Spiritism, and he says, regarding general matters, I agree that Spiritism is consistent with the great truths of Christianity, but does the same apply from the dogma point of view? Okay. And then the spirit says, Spiritism, above all, is a science, and it doesn't concern itself with the dogmatic issues. It's a science has moral consequences, as do all philosophical science. And then he uses the comparison of electricity, right? Where he says, it has produced the effects that we are familiar with and that we are not yet familiar with. So, ignorant of the true cause, people used to explain these effects in a more or less bizarre way. The discovery of electricity and its properties has undermined a host of absurd theories while shedding light on more than one of nature's mysteries. So, Spiritism is founded on the existence of an indivisible world made up of incorporeal beings who populate space and who are souls of those who used to live on earth. We call them spirits. They surround us continuously, exert great influence on people, and play a very active role in the mental world and up to a point in the physical world. So it's a beautiful example of the
Yeah, and then he ends here, like the last sentence. Therefore, spiritism rests on principles independent of any dogmatic nature. So we don't have dogmas like some of the other religious beliefs they have, and people that say that they don't agree with what we say. For example, there is life after death. There is one of the things that Kardec mentioned is that we have proofs because of mediumship. You know, people like to joke like, whenever a dead comes back and tell me how he's in the other side, I will believe her. What? You
well, we
are the right person. There are a lot of that come and they complain a lot. Let me tell you.
but there's the near death experiences, right?
Exactly,
Everyone
exactly.
There's a book, it's not spirited, but I think her name is Crystal McVia. It's in this book again, and she was on under the a surgery, and she died for 10 minutes as they were trying to bring her back, and she said that in those 10 minutes she realized something important. And you know what? I was thinking about this because sometimes if we see what the priest is alluding to is almost like this idea of, when I think of heaven, hell, I think of regret, remorse, all these lower vibrationals. And the way that Krista Magia describes this says, um, when she crossed the other side, it's not that I felt regret, because regret is a negative emotion. She says there's nothing negative in heaven, quote unquote, or wherever she landed. Instead, it's like, um, I love God so immensely, I felt he deserved so much more from me. So instead of seeing it when they cross over and come back and they tell us a story, it's not because, oh, be afraid, there's a heaven or a hell, but it's because believing in God, we see how he deserves a better version of us. He, she, it, light, divinity, whatever. And I thought that was such a great way to really see life after death. I mean, what more do we want at this point?
Yes.
All the evidence, but
Yes,
it's
and,
there.
and it is beautiful. We are so connected. That me, I'm just going through my 1,000 messages on WhatsApp because yesterday I actually spoke to a friend of mine, and she was. Let me just quickly search here because. She asked me a question because a friend of hers is very sick with cancer, and she was telling me, "Oh, you one time you sent me a video of a person who had a car accident and had a near-death experience." And then she said, "I would like to send this video to a friend of mine." And I found it. And then I told her, actually, it would be really good if you could send to your friend another video. Let me see if I have so many screens here. You guys have no idea. I have
It's
screens
just
everywhere.
crazy. It's just crazy.
So let me see if I can add this to the screen. So I told my friend to actually read the interview of Anita Morjani. So in this website, you can just Google Anita Morjani near death experience, and then you can read about her. First of all, her life is extremely interesting. She was born in Singapore, but her parents are Indian, and it's like she's all over the planet. But she had cancer, terminal cancer, and she actually died. And when she returned, she was a totally different person, totally transformed. And there is a beautiful, beautiful interview with her in many websites. She wrote books about it. So I am actually super happy Nora, that you brought this information that we all know in Spiritism about near-death experiences, because this is so common. And yes, the most common of all is that the basic thing that the person sees the light in the end of the tunnel. There is some kind of spiritual being that guide them. It's very beautiful. They want to stay there. These are the majority. But there is also the ones who described that what they saw was not good, and they were really afraid of staying there. But even the ones who described it was not good, they also described there was a voice telling them, you have to come back to earth and improve yourself so your future can be different. And this for us in Spiritism, yes, is reality. It basically is the guardian angel of this person saying, listen, if you continue behaving as you are behaving right now, you are going to wake up in the other side, and it might not be very good, but you are not finished. Come back to earth, try to improve yourself, change your behaviors, and then your future, your spiritual future, might be different. So this is great for us. We all understand about the life after death. We all understand of mediumship, and throughout so many books that Chico Xavier, psychographic, Divaldo Franco, so many mediums, not just Brazilian mediums. There are mediums from many other countries that they do the same. And this is a proof there is life after death. But everything connected with our actions and our free will. So it's better we improve now
I was going to ask to read a quote from Anita Mojani, because I want to do a little bit with this, right? When Kardec now is going to explain to us to relieve that guilt, that pressure of life after death. When Anita passes, she comes back with one of the many messages, which is, I didn't realize that loving ourselves is actually the most important thing we can do, and that it's a key to living a blissful life. I always saw myself through the eyes of God and realized that far from being unloved and unlovable, I was actually a beautiful child of the universe who was loved unconditionally simply because I exist. So imagine us like, and that's how we are in Spiritism, and that's how this book is going to take us through and understanding this idea, right, of life after death. And so it's beautiful.
beautiful, beautiful. We are pretty much connected. We are connected there. I'm telling you, my friends, when we study a lot, we kind of start thinking very similar, and helping each other in improving. You know, this week I went through some tough moments. With a person that I thought I knew well, and I was very upset, very upset. I felt really like, oh, but then it was so good that other people saw what happened, and they came to me and said, no, 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 there are moments in life that we all commit mistakes. Maybe this person was going through a tough time, and in Spiritism we learn how to forgive, and even when we feel bad, we fall, and we stand up like a phoenix, and like, ah, yes. So I'm feeling like phoenix. I'm a better person now. Continue being happy, good, and seeing life in a more positive way. That's the most important thing for us all. So good to have you here, Nora. I feel so bad that Teresa had the internet problem, so she couldn't be with us. But hopefully another time. And my friends, our time is gone. I absolutely loved this wonderful book. I hope you enjoyed. Share with your friends. Every first Thursday of the month, we are here. So thank you so much. And Nora, I would like to ask you to do our final prayer.
Sure, we'll do a quick one. All right. In this vibration, we ask, dear Mother, Father God, to bless first of all our hearts, that we are in this love coherence, and to bless the waters near our stations with the remedies that we need. And we thank the mentors for always inspiring us in different ways that we come out healed. With that, we kindly ask permission to end this beautiful study, blessing each and every one as we continue on. And so be it.
So be it.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure having you all here. I hope you can come back next month. And if you are in Miami, remember, go to our website, join us, and we are in person on the first, third, and fifth Tuesday of the month. Nora, I can't wait for you to come here and study with us in person.
I'm praying.